On tonight's Krug Show and Golden Days, we're doing this production together. We're going to talk about Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. We thought this topic was dead until the Miami Heat decided to reach out to the Warriors and say, hey, we're going to lower our asking price a little bit. Oh, and plus, Larry, the Warriors that play a game tonight. We're going to talk about that as well against the Utah Jazz. It's the Krug Show. It's the Golden Days. We're collaborating, baby. Let's get into it. Here we go. Bill O'Reilly, take it away.
That is it for us today, and we will leave you with I can't do it. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. And things suck. Woo!
Let's go. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you
There's that Krug Show banner. Slide it in, Golden Days, imagery, and love it. Larry Krueger, you had an event at Pig and the Pickle this last weekend. The AFC and NFC championship games were at your title sponsor. Tell us about that event, about Pig and the Pickle, and everyone else paying the bills over at the Krug Show, brother. Great to see you.
It was a nightmare. Everybody got sick, and the rest. No, it was great. It was an amazing. it was hell on earth. It was absolutely hell, and everybody perished. No, it was a great time. We were at Pig and a Pickle in Corte Madera. Check them out. They're in Corte Madera. They're in Emeryville. They're open from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. Great barbecue spot. Watching some football. Damon, the owner, is also the chef, and so he was in the back, and he's like got new different things that he's trying. This week he was trying some pulled pork taquitos, like homemade taquitos with this incredible like cheese sauce that was fantastic. We had a beef rib. We had some pulled pork. It was an incredible. I had some barbecued wings, some buffalo barbecued wings.
Oh my God, I'm starving now, dude.
Dude, it was unfreaking believable. Had a couple tall beers. Sat there at the bar and made some friends.
You painted such a vivid picture already. What kind of beer are we chugging down?
It was like, I don't know. I mean, it was just some micro brew and. I'm seriously, I'm not Tolbert. I'm not like, it's a hazy IPA with a touch of, no, I don't know. I have no idea. It was in my glass. I slammed it. It was good.
Dude, yeah, I picture you being royalty at this event. You're just sitting there like next plate up. You're like, okay, another beer.
Seriously, I was like Henry VIII calling my shots. I'm like, yes, excuse me. Make that 2 orders.
Whatever this is, more. Bring more.
Yeah, it wasn't Natty Light. Nick J's like Larry was drinking a tall boy Natty Light. I definitely was not drinking Natty Light.
Okay, was it Pabst Blue Ribbon? Was it?
No. What do you think this is? College? What am I going to go home and barf in a bag?
Natty Light.
Natty Light.
Oh my God.
It was old Milwaukee's best. All right. No. It was Lucky Lager.
That stuff's actually.
What is the worst beer of all time? We should probably have that discussion sometime. I will nominate Mickey's Big Mouth. Maybe the worst beer I've ever had.
Good stuff.
But I don't know what it was. Some microbrew was good though. It was good. We had a really good time.
The whole thing was good.
A lot of fans, a lot of people coming down, and I'm just appreciating all the support for the Krug Show, man. We're really loving it. We're wherever we're at, we're over 50,000 subs, and Kevin and I are putting out lots of videos and content and following the Niners off season, the Senior Bowl week, going to spring training in March, going to hang out, play some golf, bring some of my boys down there.
Have you secured a sponsor yet for your spring training trip? Because I know you're soliciting.
We do. We're still looking for 2 more, but we do have 2 sponsors right now for the spring training trip. So we're definitely going, but we are looking for 2 more sponsors, and we're fired up. It's going to be outstanding. Krug Show hits the desert. We're going to play some golf. We're going to go to some Cactus League games. I'm going to roll into the giant clubhouse and interview people until they kick me out, and And there you go. So I'm
I love
fired
it.
up.
Larry, you and I
Watch some cactus league. Hopefully see maybe somebody better at first base than what they got right now. Maybe I'm hoping for a trade.
You and I after last week's show, we spent like an hour reminiscing on the one trip we all went together on back when I was working at KNBR. But you've done a lot of trips to spring training, and it is so fun, man. Like the energy of spring training is pretty much unmatched. I've never had another experience like it, where everyone's just loose and free, and the weather's perfect, where it's freezing here, and you're going, brother. Bravo. Anyone else paying your bills besides Pig and the Pickle and that delicious brisket and the beers and the good times of Pig and the Pickle? I mean, that just sounds wonderful. Anyone else? I know you got what, man? You got other sponsors. I don't want to screw anything up. Go ahead. Are you with us? Can you hear me? Okay, we might have lost Larry Krueger here for a second. All right, he's going to join us in just a moment. Possible technical difficulties, but we're going to clearly, in just a second, talk about the Golden State Warriors. We're going to end their win tonight over the Utah Jazz, a final in that one of 114-103, a game that was way closer than it should have been. And thankfully, Larry Krueger and yours truly are going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the Jimmy Butler story. Shams Charania confirming a report that was first disseminated just a day earlier from Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo Sports, indicating that the Warriors and Jimmy Butler are still a potential thing. According to all the reports out there, Mark Stein did some reporting on it. Shams Charania, Kevin O'Connor, from putting the puzzle pieces together, what at least I can gather is that in the last day or so, we got Krug back, baby. I was just finishing up telling people about the fact that the Miami Heat have in fact reached out, and we're going to break that down in just a moment. But real quickly, because this does not exist. I got tongue tied there. Without our sponsors, without folks supporting us and taking care of us. Pig and the Pickle, Larry. I'm starving. I want some brisket. That sounded like the greatest time imaginable. Who else is paying your bills besides one of the yummiest places in the Bay Area?
Well, just I would like to thank, of course, our good friends at Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're good friends. Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. If you're into sports cards and collectibles, they're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. We appreciate them. Thanks to Better. Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show.
BETR,
really appreciate
right?
Better. Yep, BETR. Thanks to BetUS. You can go up to betus.com and use the code YouTube150, and you get a great deal there. And, of course, our good friends, last but certainly not least, Mancini's Sleep World is a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And Mancini's, I got a Mancini's bed. They offer 120-night guarantee. They've got a bunch of range of brands and price points, so they always got something for you. You get free next-day delivery. Click the link. Or go to sleepworld.com and find a bed that works for you. Whether you shop online or in-store, just use the code at checkout, KRUG10, KRUG10, KRUEG10, and you'll get 10% off. Again, KRUG10 at any Mancini's or sleepworld.com, KRUEG10, and you'll get 10% off your mattress purchase, so it could be a significant amount of money.
And that's it right there. I need to create more visual aids for your sponsors. I apologize for that. I will work on that myself so we're better at it. But again, Krug10 is that code. 10% on a bed. That's a grossly understated discount.
$300 or something like that. You're going to save quite a bit just because you're listening to the Krug Show. So thank you guys for supporting the Krug Show. We're having a great time. Kevin and I, it's been awesome working with my son. I don't know if you guys know that, but he's kind of the producer of the Krug Show.
Executive producer. He's doing like everything, man.
He's everything, man. He's everything. He's a go-getter, and we're having a lot of fun and really kicking ass and taking names and just growing the channel and having a lot of fun doing it. So
cash and checks, all the above, brother.
Just doing what I love doing and having a lot of fun, and it's really cool. It's like the one thing that's really cool about YouTube is just the ability to just pop on anytime anything happens. At some point tomorrow, there's a very good chance that, or in the next day or two, that the Warriors could make a big trade. And it's like, when do you want to go on? You want to go on right then. So, but what if your show doesn't start for 7 hours? Or what if your show just ended and you're not going to talk till tomorrow? Or what if you're, so it's just very limiting. You can be on right when stuff is happening. And that I enjoy that part of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's also awesome to have sponsors that you genuinely love, that you can actually endorse without faking it. Picking the Pickle is a perfect example. A mattress you can sleep on and be comfortable with is a perfect example. Another one, Larry, is one of the newest sponsors of Golden Days, and that's Underdog Fantasy, where if you use the promo code GSW, you get a free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. And this is where I'm going to gloat a little bit because I had a good night, Larry. I'm not going to lie. I've actually been on a bit of a streak here. Took me a few days to get the handle of things when it comes to Underdog, but I'm going to share my screen with you some of my winners tonight. All right. So the first game, I had 4 cards total. The first card I lost because Eamon Thompson did not score enough points for me tonight for the Rockets. So I lost that early card. It was a small amount. It was 2 picks. But then for the evening, we had this Warriors Jazz matchup. And I hear all the different plays that I made. First up was I bet that Brandin Podziemski was going to score higher than 8.5 points.
Right.
And you have to make – go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say you won.
I won, yes. And so I selected both Podziemski scoring higher than 8.5 points. And one of the rules for most of these daily fantasy games, which is, side note, very important to add, is that it's legal in California in addition to 30 other states in the U.S. So you have to pick a minimum of 2 players from 2 different teams. Otherwise, I would just pick all Warriors because I covered this team and I know them way too well. But that wrinkle is added. So I had to pick someone from another team. I went with Drew Eubanks. I knew the small ball Warriors were not going to be able to contain them. And I selected higher than 18.5 points and rebounds and assists collectively. You get a lot of options here. So I won that bet. I won almost 3 times what I put in. It gets better. I also had this pick. This was a 4 individual card where I had the option of going lower than 1 3-pointer for Gary Payton II. Nailed that. GP2 did not hit a 3 tonight. I also went with the Brandin Podziemski card again. I also knew that Buddy Hield was not going to score 20.5 points and rebounds and assists tonight. That was way too easy. I went with lower than. He didn't even come close. And then I went with the Drew Eubanks card again for this one. This was a 4-team one or 4-player one, and I won nearly 8 times my selection. Oh, but it gets better. Now on this one, I have 6 selections. I didn't get all of these, though. But one of the beautiful parts about Underdog is you can go with what's called flex options, where you don't have to get all 6 or 7 or 8, as long as you get minimum of, like, in this case, I could have afforded missing 1. And that one that I missed, I got a little greedy because it added a lot to my odds. I bet that Guy Santos was going to get a double-double tonight. That did not happen.
What?
I don't think it did anyways. Guy Santos finished tonight. I haven't looked at his stats yet.
You bet that Guy Santos was going to have a double-double?
Well, but here's the thing.
Has he ever had a double-double?
Probably not. But
I was going to say.
But what Underdog does is when you make certain selections like a Guy Santos double-double, you get much higher odds on that than a typical selection. So the Guy Santos double-double alone would have brought 3 times the value back. And given I already had these other cards, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I can still miss one. That was the one I missed. I nailed the Buddy Hield pick, Drew Eubanks, Brandin Podziemski, GP2 not hitting a 3. And for this card, I selected Moses Moody getting higher than 1.5 assists. And Moses Moody tonight ended up with 3 assists. So I won. I won a lot, Larry. This is Underdog Fantasy. What are your thoughts on that?
Dude, if I listen to you talk about this for 2 more minutes, I'm just about to explode. Seriously, I'm like, somebody tell this guy to shut the fuck up. Can we get to the fucking game?
Even though people,
everybody in the chat's like, God, dude, shut up. Let's get to the game. Stop selling me crap. Get to the game.
Here's the thing. Nobody wants to win money. You can win money with me. Roll with me. I post these picks on social media. Check out Underdog.
I think you've pissed off the chat. The chat just is like, get to the game.
That's unfortunate. We were talking Warriors in the I thought I was integrating some picks. Anyways, I'm gloating. I won. For one night, I'm going to tell the Chad I don't care because I'm happy. Tonight's show is also brought to you by Dr. Tom Rosanelli.
Patrick Singh wants to know how much money you made, by the way.
I'm not going to disclose that part of it.
He will not disclose the vital information, Patrick. Beat it.
Certain things are personal. Dr. Tom Rosanelli for hair restoration. Mentioned Rick Barry for a $500 discount. Call 415-931-9881 or visit rosanelli.com. One more time, 415-931-9881 or visit rosanelli.com. And last but not least, BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform. The Warriors did not cover tonight's spread. It was 13.5. Larry, the Warriors won by 11. So if you bet on the Warriors, sorry. But if you bet on the Jazz, you would have been a winner with BetOnline. The game starts here. What is your reaction, Larry, to tonight's Golden State Warriors victory? A game where the Warriors were missing Steph. They're missing Draymond, Kuminga. It was hairy for a little while there. Too close for comfort in my book when you look at the Utah Jazz as an opponent. With that said, they still come away victorious, 114-103. Your reaction, sir?
Well, I mean, a couple things. First of all, very even game except for the second quarter. I mean, Warriors 35-24 in the second quarter. Otherwise, first quarter was dead even. The third quarter was 2 points to Utah. The fourth quarter was 2 points to Golden State. So very even game. Pods was big. Definitely big off the bench. 27-6. He is shooting the ball at 45% since coming back from the injuries. 9 for 20. Sorry to interrupt you there, but Larry, you've been a critic of Pods. A lot of people have. Well, the 3-point shot. I mean, what does he do if he's not shooting? He can't finish inside. So if he's not shooting the three at all, like he was early in the year, he's not really worth having on the floor at the end of games because he's just a rebounder, recycle around kind of a guy. He's not. You don't want him to draw. He's got no offensive game at that point because it's a three or go to the rim kind of a game. He can't finish in the trees. Doesn't have the finishing ability, and he can't if he's not shooting the three ball well, like 28% or whatever he was shooting early. Right, that's not good. But he's been shooting 45%. On the 3 games since he came back from the injury. So
it looks good too, right? Doesn't the shot look?
It looks he's not leaning forward so much. He seems to be a little bit more balanced as far as front and back. He looked a little like he was leaning forward. I mean, it reminded me of like a high school player, the way he shot the ball early in the year, but he's changed his form a little bit. Schroder had a great game. Pod said in the post game that their drive home from Sacramento, him and Schroder got a chance to talk and bond and, get a chance to kind of get a feel for who each other were, which I kind of thought was kind of interesting. You think about the NBA and all the travel, but it's all like 5-star travel and you got all your own room and all your own everything. In the old days, these guys, were taking, commercial flights and they're taking buses sometimes. And it's like, these guys carpooled up to Sacramento, and you know what? They got to know each other a little bit. I thought that was really interesting.
Or were they on a team bus?
No, I think it was just the two of them. I think they said they drove together.
That's interesting.
He drove Schroder up there, so they had a lot of time, just the two of them, to kind of rap. And Podziemski talked about it in the post game, saying that he felt like that was, they had a chance to bond, and ultimately, I mean, Golden State had that 11-2 run in the fourth. Pods finished it with the 3. I mean, on a night you didn't have Steph, no Green, no Kuminga, Sexton went off. But you know what? They got a nice, they got OKC tomorrow. They got another nice little performance, I thought, out of Quentin Post. I like what he's contributing. You can probably saw what I liked about Filipowski, by the way. I've been talking about how I like Filipowski. He looked good tonight on 20 minutes for Utah. Yeah. But this could be Wiggins' last game with the Warriors. This could be Schroeder's last game with the Warriors. It could be Buddy Hield's last game with the Warriors. Could be Moses Moody's last game with the Warriors. Most of those guys all started. So I don't know. It's gonna be a very interesting thing, a week or two before the we got a week until I think it's February 6th.
Which side note, by the way, Larry, I don't know about you, but I do not understand why the NBA is scheduling the trade deadline the same week as the Super Bowl. Hello, like is anyone there using their brains in terms of understanding how to market this game appropriately? We're talking about ratings being lowered early on. Maybe decisions like that have something to do with it. But yeah, the trade deadline is 8 days away. It's going to be Thursday, February 6th. You're talking, Larry. I'm fascinated right now hearing you talk because you sound like a man who knows something. Like, are the Warriors? Do you think the Warriors are going to make a trade in the next 24 hours, like before the OKC game tomorrow? Like, what do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think a trade's definitely looming here for sure. I mean, Miami's eager to get rid of Butler. It looks like the Warriors. What's that?
I mean, I said my heart's racing, dude. Like, you got me all excited. Like the Warriors, you're confident.
Well, I mean, let's look at this. Let's back away for a second. Forget tonight, okay? Golden State is struggling. Okay, they're now 500, but they're 11th in the West.
Yeah,
they lost on Saturday to the Lakers. They've lost 20 times in the last 30 games coming into tonight. Steph, 13 points in the first half against the Lakers the other night. 0 for 8 in the second half. 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. Just terrible. Couldn't buy a shot.
Right.
But you look at this Golden State team, and if you look at the numbers, they started 12-3. At that point, they were 6th in offensive efficiency. They were 4th in defensive efficiency, and they were vibing. And since that point, they are 10 and are now 11-20. And in those 31 games, they've dropped to 25th in offensive efficiency and 22nd in defensive efficiency. They don't play defense for the most part. They've used a ton of different lineups. Kerr's used 27 different lineups this year, including tonight. Second most in the NBA. They've battled injuries, but they've also backslid badly on defense.
Yes, they have.
Teams know how to play Steph. Teams know how to play Steph. They're blitzing him, and he's being. On the pick and roll, he's being blitzed at the third highest rate in the league. They're just attacking
I got that stat. Yeah,
they're attacking him. They're struggling without Kuminga. They're now at 5-9 in the 14 games without him.
Correct.
And then you look at the on this team, you sit there and go, well, what's going on? Kuminga, Green, Curry, Slow-Mo, Payton, and Podziemski have missed almost 70 games combined. So that's a lot. That's a lot. So, I mean, that's kind of where they're at. I mean, to me, the biggest, stat is they get off to this first 15 games. They're 6th in offense, 4th in defense. In the last 30 games or so, they're 25th in offense and 22nd in defense.
Yeah,
they've just fallen apart. They've totally fallen apart in both ends of the floor.
It is.
And there's just and they need a big trade. I mean, we've been saying it all year, and I know people get tired of it, and I get tired of it too. Talking about the same thing over and over again. But this team didn't have parts that fit. They need to chart, their next move. They need to make a couple good moves.
Well,
we'll see if they can. I think they are going to do something. I get the feeling they're going to be very active here.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like your tone has changed a lot because this is what you're saying is what I've been advocating for months now. Moses Moody, by the way, echoing your sentiments, adding this.
I mean, it sucks.
Yeah, that's his mood in terms of how things have been going. The stat you mentioned in terms of Steph and Curry, ESPN published this today. It's where I got this graphic from that Stephen Curry has been blitzed on 12% of every pick play he's been involved in where he's the ball handler. Seems like a random stat, very esoteric, but to summarize it, it's the third highest rate in the NBA, meaning every time Steph has the ball, teams are attacking, they're doubling, they're trapping, they're focusing their entire defense on him, and he has no help. Buddy Hield keeps getting minutes. He had another anemic night tonight. We could talk about that in just a moment if you want, but I'm riveted right now by the fact that you really feel that they're now going to take action. I don't know why it's taken so long, but so the Jimmy Butler reports have come out over the last 24 hours. It started with Kevin O'Connor reporting that the Warriors are I think that's what he reported, that the Warriors were in the mix yet again. Jimmy Butler got suspended a third time because and look, he's clearly trying to force his way out. He reportedly walked
you
out
think?
after. Go ahead, sorry.
I said you think.
Yeah. Well, some people. Well, I've heard some people characterize his behavior as him being, like a poison pill in a locker room, or he's a bad seed. No, he wants out, He's very deliberate in his actions here, and he left the team practice when he was informed that he was not going to be starting. He just bolted. He's finding any excuse to create strain and force his way out of there. And I guess my question to you, Larry, first and foremost, given you're feeling this strongly about the team making a move here soon, is it going to be Jimmy Butler? Look, Steve Kerr does not want Andrew Wiggins dealt. There is an avenue to get Butler without trading Wiggins. We can talk about that in just a minute. But do you think Wiggins will be moved, despite the fact that Steve Kerr seems adamant that he wants Wiggins to stay?
I mean, I think Wiggins is for sure going to go.
Wow. Bro,
but I'm not as close.
This.
I'm not as close to it as you. You're more in the micro. I'm looking more in the macro.
We're on the same page right now. I don't know anything when it comes to Wiggins. All I know is what I've.
But I understand what the micro fan who's crunching everything. Or it's like Wiggins is playing well right now. Why would you move Wiggins? I get it.
That's on me.
But
that's on me.
But there's almost no way you're going to be able to satisfy the Heat for Jimmy Butler without Wiggins. Now, there's no way that you should ever consider moving Podziemski or Kuminga in a deal. In this, even not in any deal, but not in that deal. But my guess is that they're going to make a couple of moves. They're not going to be the major moves. They'll make a couple of small moves. I don't think they're going to go get Jimmy Butler, but I think the Heat I think the Warriors are like one of the only teams that has interest in Jimmy Butler. And I'm not sure why, even because I know Jimmy Butler's been a dog in the playoffs and stuff and been great at times, but I mean that just seems so desperate, does it not? You're gonna go for 34-year-old Jimmy Butler to try to elevate you.
Let me provide some context here, so maybe you get a better understanding in the audience as well. Because I've mentioned this a couple times on the show. We've broken this information on this show, and surprisingly, no one else has bothered to double up and report it, even though it's pretty pertinent and it's important. Mike Dunleavy Jr. played with Jimmy Butler early in Jimmy's career with the Bulls. Those two have a relationship. One of the biggest reasons why the Warriors are adamant about Jimmy Butler is because Mike Dunleavy Jr. has a relationship with him. They're reportedly close. And it's Dunleavy Jr. who's advocating and pushing for the Butler piece. I personally think if Butler comes here, you're going to see a drastically improved Warrior squad, man. Jimmy Butler, even with all the downsides to his numbers this season, the regressions, he, to me, is still an elite NBA player. He just doesn't give a F right now. Like he's playing like a man who clearly wants out, and you're not going to see.
Is he want out? I mean, he plays for the Miami Heat. I don't know if he wants. No, man, he wants out, but does he want? It's not like he wants to leave Miami. It's not a Miami thing that if he comes to the Warriors, he's going to be fine. He wants a max contract.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever going to get that, but he's.
And the Warriors aren't giving him that, and the Heat weren't giving him that. So I don't understand why. That's gonna. Why is his bat? He's unhappy with the Heat, not because he hates Miami. He's unhappy with the Heat because he wants a big new deal, and they don't want to give him a big new deal. But the Warriors don't want to give him a big new deal.
Correct. I don't think anyone wants to. And from what I'm reading and hearing, supposedly Butler is coming around a little bit to the fact that maybe he's not going to get this huge contract that he wants. You're absolutely right that the relationship between Miami and Butler frayed the moment the Heat made it clear they're not giving him another deal. That he's not getting the extension he wants. He has a player option for $50 million next year, which he may or may not exercise at this point. His verbiage when it comes to the player option and what his future plans are unclear. It's changed from the beginning where he kept saying that he wants a max contract. Like that, he's softened the tone on that front. I guess that what I'm really fascinated with is I don't think there's a chance in hell the Warriors are going to trade Wiggins. Steve Kerr always gets his way when it comes to these trades. He loves Wiggins. I think tonight was also a testament in the fact that GP2, you noticed, did not start. He played spot minutes. Gary Payton II tonight played a whopping total of 10 minutes, 26 seconds. When Steph is playing, suddenly GP2 is starting. So you're seeing certain pieces here are getting minutes, are on this team, maybe not just because of Kerr, but it could also be because of Stephen Curry and what he desires. But the point is, I would be shocked if Wiggins gets moved. If Wiggins does get moved, Brett Siegel of Clutch Points reported today, take that for what it's worth, that Miami reached out to the Warriors and they mentioned Andrew Wiggins as a piece that they want. The Warriors reportedly told Miami, no, you're not getting Wiggins. There is another avenue to get there. We could talk about that now, or we can get to it in a second. But with that information, what are your thoughts, if any?
I mean, on what? On whether I would want to move Wiggins, whether they're going to move Wiggins?
With this new information, if any, like does it change your perspective at all on the situation with the Warriors? Like, you still think they're gonna make a move?
I do think they're going to make a move. I do think they're not going to do nothing. I don't think they'll stand pat, but I do think they're going to keep their chips for their big move coming up this summer. But I mean, I don't necessarily think they're going to, they keep talking about the big move that's going to reset the team, but we keep going through cycles of, we'll do it this summer. We'll do it at the trade deadline. Now we'll do it next summer. It just, I don't know if they'll actually do it this summer, but I think they'll try. I think they'll put it off, the big move. I think they'll keep a lot of their assets and they'll create, they'll make a move or two, but they'll still at the same time keep a lot of their assets for a big potential move, which they'd make in the summer. That's how I think they're going to play their hand. I do expect them, like if you said Vucevic or, some combination of players, I could see them adding. They really want to do something. I think they want to be active.
I agree.
But I don't. I think they also want to retain their assets, trying to get that superstar. At least that's what I heard today on ESPN.
Well, that was Alms, your boy Alms, right? I think you're close to them, kind of, right? Like he's taken over the job that Kendra Andrews had with ESPN as the beat reporter covering the Warriors, and I think that was a bigger move in terms of and it was a sign of the Warriors losing some relevancy, man. Like the Warriors no longer have an ESPN reporter following them everywhere. Like Alms, well, case in point, when the Warriors are on the road, Alms is not always following them. Sometimes he'll go and cover another team depending on what's going on in the NBA. So that the Warriors have lost relevance in that department. Take that for what it's worth. But I'm with you. I do think the Warriors want to make a move. And I saw that report from Alms as well. Alms actually said in a podcast that he's heard that the big picture plan for the Warriors, their goal at least, is Giannis next offseason. Which is great, but it's like Steph's 38 next year. Like, I don't understand if the plan is let's keep waiting, which is always one of the most frustrating things I hear in professional sports. Like sports organizations pretend that a year in a human life is like a month. I've never understood how that's okay, but it is. It's just that's a weird reality of sports. And I don't get why, like, it's okay to put it off until the offseason when Steph is going to be 38 next year. Draymond's going to be 36. Like, what do you think's going to happen, dude? Like, Steph's going to find a time machine? The whole thing's crazy to me, but
it doesn't make sense. It's desperate talk. I think the move that they really should talk about is moving Steph. And I know it sounds crazy, but you know what? I'm reading an article right now by a guy named Caleb Hightower. Warriors might cut ties with Steph Curry via trade to Hornets. Now, I don't know if this is a legit guy. I don't know this Caleb Hightower. The idea is pretty basic. He's a native of Charlotte, North Carolina. He once said that the Hornets were the only team he'd consider playing for besides the Warriors. They have him quoted here saying, "I've always said I wanted to finish my career at Golden State because of how much it means and the experiences and teammates and the journey we've been on," Curry said after receiving the key to the city of Charlotte in September of 2022. "Everybody asks me, you want to play 1 year for the Hornets and come back? I'm not breaking any news right now. I'm not making any promises. All I would say, if there was a team that I did want to play for that was not named the Warriors, that the Hornets would be it." As such... So Kevin O'Connor proposed a trade, and you know what? I really think the Warriors ought to do this trade. The more I look at this, I think they ought to think about doing this trade. Now, I would like to see them get Melo, but this trade has Curry and Looney and Waters going to the Hornets for Miles Bridges, Grant Williams, Josh Green, 4 first-round draft choices, and 2 pick swaps.
I say no. Any trade with the Hornets, first of all, if we're talking Stephen Curry trade, I want to add some context real fast. That article you're referring to, is one of thousands that are published almost daily, if not weekly, from folks fresh out of college, that publications like the Sporting News, Sports Illustrated, who aren't making money anymore. They basically have these guys writing a million trade proposals.
It doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. I mean, it's just an idea. These are just ideas. I mean, we're not reporting this like this is happening or the Warriors are talking to Charlotte. I understand. This is just somebody spitball. Caleb Hightower. I have no idea, and he's spitballing an idea, but it doesn't mean that we can't address it on its merit.
No, you're right.
As far as the concept
I just wanted to clarify
of Steph
that
finishing somewhere else, and the Warriors, instead of just taking all the way to the finish line. I mean, there's something to be said for doing that. They drafted him in 2009. It would be cool if he only played for the Warriors.
It'd be very cool.
But he is from Charlotte. His dad played for Charlotte. Isn't his dad still the announcer in Charlotte?
Yes, color commentator, and his brother Seth is currently a player there as well.
Yeah, so I mean, in some ways, I mean, it's like it would be almost the perfect thing to have one season where it's like, hey, man, you're giving the people the people that you love most, the people that that you grew up around, your high school friends, your college, whatever, all your friends from Charlotte can then come and support you for 1 year. You get to play with your brother. Your dad's calling the games. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not. We all think of everything as very selfishly from a Warrior perspective. What about what's best for Steph? Is it best for Steph to kind of play with the Warriors and battle like crazy and maybe win a playoff series? I mean, they don't look very good right now. I mean, they've looked worse longer than they look good. Let's just say.
I'm going to give you two responses to that. First is, if we're entertaining this discussion where Stephen Curry is going to get traded to the Charlotte Hornets, which I agree would be the ideal trade partner for the reasons you mentioned. He's from there. He's got connections. Anything less than LaMelo Ball and 4 firsts, I'm hanging up the phone. Like, if you're
kind of agree. I want LaMelo. Miles Bridges doesn't float my boat,
no.
And I don't like Grant Williams, and I don't like Josh Green.
I'm hanging up that phone immediately. Like, I want Josh Green's the number. Which one's the guy? Okay, here's what I would do. Grant
Williams was the guy who played for the Celtics, who played at Tennessee, right?
But I'd also but forget that guy. What I would want is LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. Now, if you give me both those guys and 4 first-round picks. Now I'm listening to you, and I'm giving this a thought. That's anything less than forget about it. Because if you're going to try to,
I don't know. I wouldn't want to hold him up that much. I would take LaMelo in the 4 firsts.
I would hold him to the fire because that franchise is so pathetically desperate. They'd probably give it to you. They've never enjoyed anything in terms of success. Like they would.
But what's the best for the Warriors? Because I mean, think about it. If they forget Brandon Miller because he was. Let's just say you could get LaMelo. If you could get LaMelo and 4 picks.
I want both. I would.
But let's just say you could get LaMelo and 4 firsts.
Okay.
I mean,
that's good.
If you're a Warriors fan, LaMelo's what, 25?
He's
26?
young, but he's also not durable, Larry. That's one of the biggest reasons why I'd also want Brandon Miller is because LaMelo Ball, there are years where you don't even see him for like a whole season. I don't have super high levels of faith in terms of his durability. Throw in Brandon Miller.
He does put on a show, though. He's a great entertainer.
Yes, but by second,
I mean, if you're Joe Lacob and you want a great show at the an open floor great show at Oracle or at Chase Center, that would be incrlook. I mean, he would. I agree.
But again, me personally, I'm not even entertaining it if it's not both those players in 4 firsts. Secondly, I don't like the idea of trading Steph. If for no other reason, I actually value continuity. I value individual athletes who reach a level of greatness like Steph has, and they're lifers. They stay with one team. Like what you're proposing. In other words, what you're saying is,
no Warrior player has ever, no great Warrior player, Rick, Mully,
you're right.
You name them, every one of them. Every great Warrior player has finished somewhere else.
Well, so make Steph the first. I would love for Steph to be the first. Steph is to the Warriors what Jordan was to the Bulls, and it sickens me that Jordan played for the Wizards. Kobe Bryant did not play for another team. He almost did. He did not. And I think Kobe's lore, his legacy was accentuated because he was a lifer with the Lakers. I I don't like the idea of Steph moving. I'd rather the Warriors.
Nobody does. Nobody does.
Yeah, nobody. But you like talking about it.
Nobody does. Nobody likes the idea of it. The question is, what's the better move for the team? Nobody likes it, but what's better for the team? Is it better for the team to have all this nostalgia and, man, yesteryear and, oh, man, 5 years ago? And because, I mean, there's a, from when you're done winning to when you're done could be a long time.
That's true.
So how long do you want to roll with it?
But Larry, you also don't apparently have faith in the Warriors and how they're going to do when Steph moves on. Like I look at the Warriors, and again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'm emphatic about it. I have conviction in this, that you look at a core of Kuminga, Podziemski, Moody, who also had a great game tonight. His stats, by the way, because we haven't mentioned that, 27 minutes, 27 seconds of play. He shot 50% from three. He has been killing it as a three-point shooter on the year. He's over 40% on the season, 15 points in this game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Started as the team's power forward tonight. I don't know if you like that look. I did not. I think that was part of the reason why the team had yet another horrible start, is because they started Buddy Hield and they started Moses Moody at the 4. The dude is not a power forward. With that said, I look at the future with Podziemski, Kuminga. I look at Guy Santos, Quentin Post. I think the future is bright for this team. They're a little conflicted with Steph and Draymond still being there and trying to manage and balance, the youth that's rising and these veterans whose bodies are breaking down. And then you have all these like middling mediocre pieces like GP2 and Looney that you need to trade. And you got this befuddling piece like Andrew Wiggins that, half the Dub Nation populace loves him. Half of them are accepting his trade like we are. There's a lot of mess here. But I actually think the young pieces represent positivity. Like, I think this team's going to be really good once they start moving on. But I also don't really like the idea of trading Steph. It makes me a little sick to my stomach almost just thinking about it, dude. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I like when Joe Montana was sitting there for 2 years injured with that elbow thing, and Steve Young's playing, and then he comes back and plays that one final game in Detroit, and then he gets that whole thing was just really not fun. I never liked that. I hated it. And I don't want to trade Steph, man. Like, you'd be okay with it. Like, you're a Warriors fan besides being a media member, Larry. Like the idea of Steph, you can stomach it?
Yeah, I mean, it would be okay with me if they moved on. I've loved the show. Don't get me wrong. It's been awesome. But, I mean, to me, it's a wave that has been surfed. And now it's like, is it fun to kind of drift towards the beach? It's okay.
See, I'm going to take it even a step further, Larry, and which will probably make you go look at me like I'm a crazy person. I still think the Warriors can salvage this season, and I think this is why they're entertaining these trade offers. I think they can win the whole thing this year. I've not given up that thought. Do you think I'm a crazy person for saying that? And it's okay if you say yes. I get it. But I still
I don't.
Think
reality says you're a crazy person. It's not about what I say. Go look at the Vegas odds. Go look at anything. Go look at today's standings. I mean, the Warriors are the 11th team in the West whose best player is old. And second best player is old. And their best young players hurt.
I can push back on all of that, though. Like the Vegas thing, for example, Vegas doesn't represent reality. They represent how the people feel, and they're setting lines based on that. You look at the standings, you're right. The Warriors currently are 11th. They're also a game behind the Kings for 10. They're also still just 3 games back of the Clippers for 6. So they're
1-8 inside the Pacific Division.
Agreed. And again,
I mean, what?
They need to make some
They're
changes.
1-8 inside the Pacific Division. I mean, they're getting crushed in their own division.
Agreed.
I mean, they're non-competitive dog shit inside their division. I mean, what are we supposed to? I mean, they're 500 at home. They're 500 on the road. I mean, they're 500.
Well, that's why you need a trade, Larry, and that's
they're
why
a 40-win. They're a 40-win team. I said 38. They're probably right on par for that. I mean,
the OU is 41.5 right now. You can still bet on that with certain books. It's 41.5.
But I mean, they started 15-3. They're 11-21, and they're 11-20 in their last 31. So I mean, that means that, if they keep playing the way they're playing in the last 30 games, they're going to win less than 38.
By the way,
we'll
Law
see.
of Oz saying that the Vegas Sportsbook wouldn't agree with my comment. They actually would. I've actually had professional gamblers on my program. It's not a big secret. The bookies literally set lines because they want people to bet equally on either side so that they profit from the vig. It's a long held strategy dating back probably centuries. That's lines don't represent necessarily like what the bookies think is how a team is doing, or they're all about just finding middle ground for public sentiment. It's why you see Lakers spreads. It's why you see any team that Kevin Durant, at least until very recently, was on. You'd see spreads that tilt in that favor, not because of the players. It's because LeBron James is a very popular figure and people like to bet on him. So he skews lines. Just in case people are unfamiliar with that premise. Would you agree with that, Larry, or anything you want to add to that?
I mean, we're talking about the Warriors. I mean, they cannot paint you a more clear picture than what they've painted to this point. I mean, if they are a 500 team. They're 23-23. They're 13-12 at home. They're 10-11 on the road. They're 16-15 in the conference. And guess what? In the last 10 games, they're 5-5. And I mean, they are the epitome of a 500 team. And as far as their potential the rest of this year, I mean, to me, those four top teams in the West are clearly better than them, younger than them, and on a better trajectory. OKC, Houston's playing great. Memphis, Denver, those teams are all better than Golden State, way better. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, can Golden State, if they get the right combination of players, win a series against anybody in the West? Yeah, probably. But I don't see a title run. But whatever. I mean, let's see what they can do. I mean, I would try to shake it up here, but they are very kind of, they want to know what they're going to wind up with. They're not riverboat gamblers. So they're not going to shake it up and like see where it goes from there and what they can turn it into. They seem a little bit more like, we need a plan. We need a master plan that, we need to know exactly where we're going, as opposed to taking a couple steps in this direction. Like, I think if they were a little bit more open-minded about, hey, let's take a couple steps in this direction, maybe they would be more active at the deadline. I do think they want to make a move, but I also think they want to save their big chips for the big move. And the big move may never come.
When Steph
is 45. That's the part that's a little frustrating about Golden State, is that they do want to keep the big move out there because they're dreaming the title dream, but that they should really just focus on making the team a little bit better, and then let's see where it goes.
Well, and just to piggyback off that, I think a huge problem with the team being better, a huge reason why they even are a 500 team, is because they're not routinely playing their best players. Like, how do you justify Buddy Hield still starting games? How do you justify Andrew Wiggins playing the power forward position? How do you justify Dennis Schröder, who, by the way, tonight had a solid game? He led the Warriors in scoring tonight, 23 points, was 5 of 13 from 3, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in this game. I don't think it's a coincidence, Larry, that the 2 games Dennis Schröder has scored 20 or more points in this season since being traded to the Warriors. I think tonight was the 20th game that he's played for the Warriors. He's had 2 games of 20 or more points. It was against the Wizards and it was against the Utah Jazz. He'll get his buckets against those kinds of teams. It explains why he averaged 18 plus playing for the Brooklyn Nets in that ridiculous Eastern Conference. But if it's not the Jazz, if it's not the Wizards, you're not going to see much from him. Larry, the Warriors,
he had it going tonight, though. I mean, he took a bunch of threes, but he hit 5 of them. And,
yeah, he did. He had a good game. Tonight.
He was active. He had 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
He disappears. He disappears if the opponent is not solid. Like, if it's a bad team, he'll get his points. And that's not the type of player that's going to lead you to success, which is why if the Warriors want to be prudent, they will trade Dennis Schröder in that expiring contract. He's making $13 million. The Warriors can incredibly get Jimmy Butler without trading Wiggins. And this is how they would do it, Larry. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can get Jimmy Butler. It would have to be a three-team trade. The only way you're getting Butler, because of this new CBA and all the ridiculous rules and caveats, is to bring a third team involved. But if the Warriors send out Dennis Schröder's expiring, GP2 is expiring. Kevon Looney is expiring. You have to find a team willing to take Buddy Hield's contract. That's a huge if and a huge obstacle. And then you'd have to find a team who would be willing to take Kyle Anderson's contract. I don't think that part of it's so hard. But if you move those 5, you can get Jimmy Butler. And you throw in a couple second rounders, maybe a 2031 first to appease the Miami Heat. But you can, in theory,
it's a lot of assets, dude. You're trading like 8 players for a 34-year-old player.
And which one of those 5 players are important, Larry?
But I mean, you're trading 8 players because you're also trading 3 draft picks.
Which one of those players are important?
Well, they're all role players. I mean, they're all just role players.
None of them matter. You replace. You know how you replace them? Let's say you make that trade.
I mean, Peyton is a really good on the ball defender, so I think he does matter. As far as the other guys, I don't really love Looney, but you don't have any real size. Looney had 11 rebounds tonight. He was your leading rebounder. You don't have any size. So I mean, and you're not getting any size coming back.
Yes, you do, Larry. You have Guy Santos and you have Quinn Post. The Warriors just promoted Jeff Rowe. I forgot his first name. They gave him a 2-way deal. I think that was announced either last night or today. He's a big boy. You have Kevin Knox, who you can promote, who's been killing it in the G League. My point is, those 5 players are easily replaceable. Pat Spencer, who's a 2-way player, you can give him a guaranteed contract. Those are your 5. Are you sitting here telling me honestly that Gary Payton II, 1 minute you're telling me that you're fine trading him. Now you're telling me like you have to hold on to him even though
you're making it sound like they're just totally dispensable. I think Gary Payton is a key factor in winning. I mean, he is an on-the-ball shut-down defender. He's definitely has value. I mean, I don't know. All these guys, I mean, first of all, Jimmy Butler's got a bad attitude. He doesn't want to be there. And, we already talked about it. It's fundamentally flawed because the whole reason he doesn't want to be in Miami is that I want to give him a contract. So I need to hear from Jimmy Butler that he's like cool with not getting this contract. Otherwise, I'm moving 7 assets, 4 players and 3 picks and all this stuff. I'm moving all this stuff for a guy who is really going to be a huge negative because he's not happy right now in Miami because of this contractual situation.
Well,
so now you're telling me that coming here, just leaving that coast and going to this coast, still not getting a contract and being on a team that's worse is going to make him happier.
Well, I don't agree that the Warriors are worse. I also
not worse than the Heat.
He wants to come to the Warriors. So if he's telling you that he'd be happy with this move, I will take him at his word on that. Part of the reason why he's been disgruntled with the Heat, it didn't just start this last offseason with the contract. That was a huge part of it. But his bigger gripe, and this came out because he had meetings with Pat Riley. He had a face-to-face with Pat Riley. And his biggest gripe with Pat was, why for the last 3 years have you not gotten me any help? They tried to get Damian Lillard. They failed in that department. He has not had a good second scorer, a good secondary superstar player to assist him. He would have that with the Warriors. A huge reason why the Warriors are coveting him is because Mike Bellamy Jr. and him have a good relationship. So let's say Jimmy Butler is actually happy coming here. I don't understand the rhetoric with GP2 because 1 minute you're saying
he's volatile, man. He's just you're bringing in a very volatile player.
Okay, forget Jimmy Butler.
And you're
what about
getting
Zion?
Rid of 7 assets.
Same trade.
And this is
Zion
the kind of thing. This is the thing. It's not about Jimmy Butler because you're not winning with Jimmy Butler.
You're not winning now.
It's exactly.
So
you're not winning now, and you're not going to win with Jimmy Butler. So it's all about you're going to spin that into. The question is this: is it easier to keep your expirings and then try to go for use that a different way, or trying to turn that all into Jimmy Butler?
You can't use that a different way.
You can let those guys walk at the end of the year. You don't have
exactly. So why not trade him now? That's why holding on to it is an awful decision. GP2, his contract is expiring. If you don't trade him.
I'm just saying it's an awful lot for a guy who's been suspended 3 times, who's played his best basketball. I don't. It's not worth it. I mean, all this is not worth it for this player and the headache that comes with this player, in my opinion. It's not about a certain player or this or that. You think that the Warriors, as is, can win the title.
No,
so why would you want to break up a title contender for a guy who's as volatile as Jimmy Butler? I mean,
I never said that.
If you really believe the Warriors can can win the title, there's no way you would want to trade 7 assets for Jimmy Butler.
I said this, first of all, the assets I'm referring to again are like your 10 through 15 pieces on your bench. None of those assets
players that could go in other deals. That's not. I'm not saying they're good players. I'm saying that you could move them in other deals for other players. I don't like the idea of going all in on a 34-year-old player.
Why do you
keep saying I didn't like going from Poole to Paul with no. They blew that. They absolutely blew that. They had a young player. They traded him for an old player, and they let the old player walk away. And maybe it was the right move financially, but to get out of that contract that you signed, but you totally devalued the asset. You blew that. You absolutely blew that. That was how to mismanage your asset 101 by the Golden State Warriors. So I'm not a huge fan of trading a bunch of assets for one guy, especially when he's volatile and older, unhappy, wants a contract that you're not going to give him. What? Dunleavy could be his best friend, but Steve Kerr and this coaching staff are going to have to coach him. And if he's in a bad mood because the front office won't pay him, do you see what I'm saying? This could blow up and be a huge negative.
You could get rid of him after the season. What do you have to lose giving up assets that mean jack shit, Larry? You keep saying all in. It's not all in. Kyle Anderson
you painted a picture of draft picks. That draft picks always have value.
Again,
so you're talking about trading future draft choices for a 34-year-old guy who's got a bad attitude.
Larry, I don't know what's going on, man. Larry, you're normally
this guy wants to be treated differently. He wants to travel with different accommodations. He wants to stay in different hotels. Come on. He doesn't sound like a guy who wants to be part of the team.
Larry, okay, really 1 minute I say forget Jimmy Butler, bring up Zion. Then you say it's not about the player. Now you say it's about the player. What if it's Zion Williamson, hypothetically?
It's a totally different conversation. That's a totally different conversation.
Okay.
That's a totally different conversation. I'm the one who said get Zion. So now you're asking me if I think Zion is a good trade candidate. I'm the one who said it.
Because I asked you 5 minutes ago and you said it's not about the player. So now it is about the player. So now you don't like the idea because it's Jimmy Butler.
No, is that what you're saying? It's always been about the player. It's always been about the player, but it's also about when you move all these assets, then you have to then find somebody to take Jimmy Butler. And it's hard, as you can see with the Miami Heat, it's very difficult to move Jimmy Butler.
Larry, I don't follow. What I don't follow is you keep calling
because it's all about ease of making the next move. Because I don't think you're going to win with Jimmy Butler. You're going to have to surf that way somewhere else. You're going to have to then trade Jimmy Butler somewhere else because you're not going to win with Jimmy Butler. I don't think it's going to work. So you got to always think of what's more valuable. Taking all your assets and putting him into one guy or having him in a bunch of different guys?
What asset? These are all
the expiring contracts
that are gone after this year, so they have no value after this year. So why do you keep calling?
It's not like it's Jimmy Butler or nothing. There's a whole league full of guys. There, you make another trade. It's not like you have to make this trade. It's not like it's the only trade out there. The Warriors, I'm sure. I guarantee there's going to be, I would guess, somewhere between 10 to 12 trades between now and the deadline. Make a couple of them.
Well, I keep bringing up.
What's so freaking difficult to understand about that?
I keep bringing up Jimmy Butler because that's who keeps getting reported in terms of being linked to the Warriors.
Yeah, I don't like that idea. He's 34 and played his best ball, and I don't want to take all those assets and put them. I want to use them in other trades. I don't want to use them for Jimmy Butler. I've never heard Jimmy Butler have a real conversation where he's real about his deal. So the last thing the Warriors should do is take on a guy who wants a new deal that they're not going to give him.
Okay,
that's
fair.
What you're basically saying, because they're not going to give him that deal.
But I will say this, Larry, doing nothing to me is way worse than going after Jimmy Butler because this product sucks. You don't know what you get if you trade for Jimmy Butler. And again, worst case scenario, you move on after the season. I don't see any assets that you're actually losing to get him, except for maybe two.
Who are they fighting over? Who are they fighting with to get him?
Phoenix.
Yeah, that's it. Nobody else wants him in the entire league. So you're going to then get him, and what? You're going to then trade him to Phoenix, maybe?
No.
Is that what you're hoping to do?
No, what
I
I'm
mean,
saying is
nobody wants him. So that's my problem is like, oh, what the hell? You're really going to go you get Jimmy Butler. It's going to be hell on earth and they're not going to win. And then you're going to be stuck with a guy that's going to be hard to move. I think harder to move.
First of all, if you get Jimmy Butler, that's it. There is no like flipping him again. He's probably going to opt out of his contract if it doesn't work out. So it's over. It's over in like 3 months if it doesn't work out. All I'm saying is the status quo blows. And
of course.
And if the only
but it was supposed to blow, they didn't. This wasn't the team they wanted. They tried to get Markkanen. They tried to get Paul George. They tried to make these deals. They couldn't make it. They're like, oh, we'll roll it into the season. This is what happens when you just kind of roll it into the season. They didn't They didn't have the off season that they wanted to have, and this thing is coming together piece by piece. And so they kind of sacrificed this season. They started this year without the team, without really improving the team. I mean, I'd love to know, where they think they're going from here this year. It just doesn't seem like it's going. It doesn't seem great. It doesn't seem like they're in a great trajectory.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it was going good with Kuminga before he got hurt. There was some promise there. We started to see his development, but I hope they do something. Like the players that we've heard vary. Cam Johnson was linked to the Warriors months ago. I still think he would be an awesome.
Supposedly he's going to Sacramento.
Is that the latest speculation? Well,
I've heard Cam Johnson talks between the Nets and the Kings.
Was that before the De'Aaron Fox news dropped?
This is before the De'Aaron Fox, but that it was dead, and that I think Shams had it earlier today or yesterday, that they've reignited the talks and that they're likely to make a deal. That's what he said.
What are your thoughts on the so in case people are
I don't know what Sacramento's trading, but they'd be getting Cam Johnson.
Yeah, and I saw the report too, but again, this was before the news that dropped today, which was a bombshell, especially for the Kings fan base and that organization, which is that De'Aaron Fox wants out. The awful kept secret is that De'Aaron Fox wants to go to the Spurs, which is kind of interesting. I mean, that would be a dynamic pairing with him and Victor Wembanyama. I don't know how that trade happens. I don't know if the Spurs are willing to give up a Castle type player who's an awesome asset, by the way. If I'm San Antonio, I don't do that trade. Some people want De'Aaron Fox to go to the Warriors, which I'm not high on, man. That's not the move I would do personally. But what are your thoughts on this? On the fact that De'Aaron Fox wants out? His agent is Rich Paul. They notified the Kings. We're done. Trade us or we're checked out. What are your thoughts on all that? And do you like the idea of him going to the Warriors?
De'Aaron Fox?
Yeah.
For what?
I don't know. I'm not even at that point. I'm just curious.
He's another small guard, but he's great. He's great. He's got one more year left at like 37 million or something like that.
Right.
It's a lot.
Right.
He's really great. He needs a change of scenery. It sounds like he wants to get out of there. He's pretty spectacular. You'd have a really small backcourt. I mean, it's like, how would he play with Steph? I don't know. It's weird. It doesn't seem like it would be a good fit. To me, the guy you want next to Steph is longer. You want somebody who's like 6. I would like somebody who's like 6'6", 6'7", with some length, some ability to guard bigger guys.
And it's funny because you have someone like Nick Caricillo or Caricillo, I don't know, my apologies, writing, how could Steph and De'Aaron Fox guard any backcourt as we watch Dennis Schröder start, 17 games in the same backcourt as Stephen Curry? It does happen. It can happen. I'm not endorsing it. I don't like it. I'm with you. To me, De'Aaron Fox would be one of the worst avenues to go down in terms of like pursuing a superstar player. De'Aaron Fox ain't it. I still think the Kings blew it trading Tyrese Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis. Not to say that Sabonis wasn't a great player, but Tyrese Halliburton, an Olympian, potential next generation superstar. I thought that was a huge blunder, man. What did you feel about that when it happened, and any changes now?
What?
The trade that sent Tyrese Halliburton to the Pacers for Domantas Sabonis.
I mean, it was a fair trade. I mean, it's, pays to play. I mean, you got to pay to play, but I thought it was fair. I mean, damn good front court player, damn good backcourt player. I would have wanted to keep Halliburton and move Fox instead, but they couldn't
that's
do
where
it.
I was going. That's what I wanted. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
what
I think
curious
they would have
hear.
loved to have seen Halliburton stay, but I mean, the Pacers wanted Halliburton for a reason. He's a special player.
Yeah.
King's got an all-star big man though, who's happy playing in Sacramento, and that's a value for sure. Sabonis has been really, really good there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I think it's sad if Fox wants out, because it's like, I'd like to see him stay there and make it work, but it doesn't seem like it's weird. He's like, he just wants to leave there. It's like, it's
and he got Mike Brown fired. I mean, the audacity of some of these guys, man. Like, you get your head coach fired, and then a month later, you're like, I'm out. Like, what the fuck, dude? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's. I don't think it was a very good environment there, really, since the preseason. I mean, I would talk to some of the people at the Niner games who cover the Kings, and they're just like, yeah, the vibe's really, really bad. So, I mean, that's, it's kind of a NBA way station right now, and it's like your people are looking to get out, and it's a tough situation, even though, because they have a beautiful arena, it's a great place to live. Sacramento is really underrated, especially if you got big cash like an NBA player. I mean, you got a gigantic house.
Where do you buy a home if you have that kind of money? Like, what part of Sac are you in, or the suburbs?
I mean, it really depends what you like. I mean, you could be. A lot of those guys, I think, are in the Laguna area near, in the south. But I think, like, I would buy a place like on American River Drive in Sacramento and have like river access and a big old killer house. That's over kind of more towards Sac State. But, there's the Fab 40s, which is like, kind of their, really nice older homes downtown that there's a lot of really nice homes in the middle of Sac. But they're older homes. I don't know. Some people live up in El Dorado, up in the hills. Some people, it's like you got to kind of decide what you want.
That's where our boy.
I mean, Granite Bay. There's some ridiculously nice houses in Granite Bay, which is a really nice spot as well.
Yeah. There's some nice areas there for sure. Patrick Singh brings up Roseville. That's where I would draw the line. If I was a wealthy in Sac, I would not live in Roseville. But
Roseville, Rockland. I mean, that's up 80. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of people who live in Roseville and Rockland.
They agreed.
God bless them, but it wouldn't be for me either. I mean, it's amazing. I used to go to training camp for the Niners,
in Rockland.
And none of those people lived there. I mean, it was like, it was amazing. Rockland was a tiny little place, and now Rockland is just
it's
huge.
developed.
Yeah,
I never understood how the Niners did training camp there. Those summers were so freaking hot.
That was awesome.
It was insane. A $2 donation from Gary Schetzel. I hope I got that right. Saying the best thing for the Warriors is keeping Steph and Curry. So there you go. Any reaction to that, Larry?
I mean, it's just different. It's just different paths. It's like, do you want to see the final years, or do you want to? And also, it's like, what's it going to do to you? How long is Steph going to play? Is Steph going to play? Is he going to play 5 more years? Is he going to play 3 more years? Is he going to play? How long could Steph play? And then it's like, is he going to play? Is he going to keep playing as long as he can?
It's not going to
play in the league.
I think
what I mean? Or is he going to play?
Years.
Yeah. So maybe this is just it. They just want to stay with it. That's fine. I mean, that's fine. Most people stay with their. I mean, most people have that sentimental. I'd rather stay with my favorite players. I mean, nobody's looking to trade Buster. Nobody's looking to trade. But if you're trying to, you look at some of these other teams that if you're trying to win again, you're going to have to build something at some point. And to do that, you're going to need picks. So I don't know. I mean, you're either going to have to, hit in the draft like the way you did to get these guys. But it took 5 or 6 years to build this thing, or at least 3 or 4 years to build this thing. You didn't get all these guys in 1 year. So it's going to take 3 or 4 more years to rebuild this thing. So we'll see. We'll see. I would like to see them, send him to Charlotte if he had interest. But I would talk to Steph and just be like, dude, what do you want? Do you want to be here? Do you want to finish here? Or do you want to finish there? Whatever you want is fine.
He said repeatedly, Larry, he wants to stay. Like, he's never expressed any desire otherwise. His verbiage, he keeps talking about caring about the future of the franchise in terms of not making big deals that sacrifices future assets. So I think he's happy here. I don't know, but dude, Jacob Pena writes, is asking, let's say the Warriors trade the 5 players I brought up. Again, these are assets that I don't think they have any value, like it's except for moving them now. And that's GP2, whose contract expires. And again, trade him. You could re-sign him this offseason for the vet minimum. Kevon Looney, exact same thing. Keep in mind, Kevon Looney was out of the rotation for like 3 weeks. And I don't know why he even got back in. You have Quinn Post. I don't understand why he's getting minutes again, but whatever. And then Kyle Anderson, who we see stretches where he never plays, clearly not a Steve Kerr favorite, and Buddy Hield, who's a complete disaster on this team. If anything, Buddy Hield, the fact that the Warriors are 9-0, 10-0, when Buddy scores 18 or more points, that just shows me that if the Warriors actually got a competent second scorer, we'd be seeing the type of results that I keep saying we could see. My frustration again comes down to coaching, and I know we have disagreements there, but like when you see Buddy Hield getting heavy minutes, when you see like Moses Moody getting DNPs, Kyle Anderson getting DNPs. Thankfully, we saw these guys play a little bit tonight, but if we saw the right players play routinely, that's where my belief comes in this team. And it's why I want a big trade. So you could take all these assets away from Steve Kerr, his crutches, right? You could Billy Bean his ass is what I'm trying to say. That's my whole philosophy here.
I mean, I'd shake it up just for the hell of it at this point.
Yes.
Just to shake it up. Just because I'm not like you. I don't think they can win. I know they can't. I just feel like shake it up because I'm kind of bored. And also, it's time for them to put the focus on some of the younger players. Kuminga needs some shine. This kid Post needs to play. They've got a couple young players that they need to kind of start to use more. Trace Jackson Davis, I think, should get more minutes and play more consistently. Moses Moody probably needs some run. So I don't know. I'd like the focus to be a little bit more on youth and not age, but it's hard because Steph and Draymond are so old and they're on this team and they're stalwarts and so it's, even though they're not playing right now. I'll be interested to see what they look like when Kuminga gets back.
Big time. And I'm very optimistic about the future in terms of these young pieces like Brandin Podziemski. If this shot can be consistent, it's a whole other ball game in terms of his future and his role with this Warriors team. And speaking of Brandin Podziemski, let's hear from him. This is a post-game attribution courtesy of your rival radio station, 95.7 The Game, your former employer. In terms of the rating wars, Larry, does KNBR kick the game's ass? This information is public,
No comment.
Fair enough. Here is Brandin Podziemski. Turn the volume up on your speakers, please, because KNBR is the only one that gets quality audio for these immediate post-game sounders. Turn the volume up so you can hear Brandin Podziemski. This is courtesy of 95.7 The Game.
Pretty good. Did you feel like I think in your last 13 or so before you left with injury, you kind of, the shot percentage has been good. I think I remember you talking about you were feeling like you were getting the same shots earlier this season. What kind of flipped your season shooting wise?
Part of it is what you put into the game, and through the early season struggles, it can wear on you mentally, but on the flip side of things, percentages are always going to balance out to where they should be. And I think I was shooting 15% at one point from three, and I know that's not me. And so just keep doing what I'm doing and focusing on what I'm trying to do. And I know it's going to balance out in my favor at the end of the day because I put a lot of work into it. So I think I just try to stay the course with it and be consistent with my work habits.
Yeah, Larry, Brandin Podziemski again tonight. Why don't we name him this? I'll leave it up to you, Larry, because we only do shows once a week. I name these players of the game following every Warriors game. It comes down to either Brandin Podziemski, who was 4 of 11 from 3, 5 of 12 from the field total. I thought the best stat for Podziemski tonight was his 3 trips to the free throw line. I feel like he got robbed of a 4th trip where he got fouled on a 3-point attempt. He was worthy of 3 free throw attempts right there, but 6 free throw attempts, made all 6 free throws. The Warriors got to the free throw line tonight not 31 times, but they had 31 free throw attempts, made 25 of them. That's 80.6%. But in terms of the player of the game tonight, it's either going to be Brandin Podziemski, 20 points tonight, a plus 19 in net rating, added 7 rebounds, added 6 assists, or is it Dennis Schröder, who had a career high with the Warriors, 23 points, added 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 of 13 shooting from 3, 8 of 20 shooting overall. Who will be our pig in a pickle and Underdog Fantasy player of the game?
I'm going to go with Schroeder, just because, there's no reason that it shouldn't be Schroeder. It should be Schroeder, but he pronounces it as Schroeder. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to go with Schroeder just because.
Is that what they call that thing?
The accent agu or whatever you want to call that, or whatever. Schroeder. Somebody told him his name's Schroeder, so I'm going to go with Schroeder, though it's spelled like Schroeder.
All right, and again, Dennis Schröder or Schroeder.
Does he still have the yellow streak, or did he get rid of that?
No, he got rid of that. Thankfully, that was not a good look in my opinion. Dennis Schroeder, or Wiener Schnitzel. However
he's on the German national team, isn't he?
he's German. Yes, he's our Pick and a Pickle and Underdog Fantasy player of the game. Larry, give Pick and a Pickle love one more time in honor of Dennis Schröder's 23 points.
There you go. My German brother, Dennis Schröder, player of the game. Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. Emeryville, Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Great barbecue. You're going to love it. If you're out of town, when you come to the Bay, stop by Pig and a Pickle. Get the brisket chili, but it's all amazing. I was there this weekend. Great spot. You'll love it.
Oh, so every time you bring that up, I salivate, man. Quentin Post, by the way, shot 40% from beyond the 3-point line, 2 of 5 from deep, finished the game with 10 points, 5 rebounds. We're starting to get a decent sample size of Post. Does the team need to make a trade for that stretch 5 that I feel like a lot of people are craving? Or do you think Quentin Post is the answer? What is your thoughts? Larry, I respect the shit out of your scouting abilities, man. You know what you're doing in that department and then some. What is your scouting report on Quentin Post?
I really like what I see. First of all, he can move his feet. Now he's going to take a lot of bad shots. But I think if you can, give him some freedom to get his feet wet and then start to kind of rein him in and figure out what he does well and stay with it, I think he could be a very good player, role player on a championship team. I mean, he can shoot the basketball. Now, tonight he was 3 of 10, but he took 5 threes. He made a couple. He's not a stiff. He's got some lateral agility. He's got the ability to bend his knees and dive down on the ground and get the ball. He's a lot more athletic than you think. And he's got a beautiful outside shot. He's a young guy. He looks eager to learn. He's just beginning to scratch the surface. I mean, eventually he'll have, some kind of a game where he can get other people involved. He had a couple assists tonight. That was good to see. He's going to make, bad fouls right now, but I like him. I mean, what this guy's got is hard to teach. I mean, he's got a beautiful release on his outside shot, and he's a legit 7-1, and he's an athlete. So, I think that was a really nice draft pick by them, and I think he's a keeper. I mean, to me, he is the guy. He's now on that short list. He's on the list with Kuminga and Trace Jackson Davis as just guys that I don't want to move. I just don't want to move those guys.
Podziemski, you're still okay with moving at this point?
Yeah, I'm okay with moving Podziemski. What
about Moody?
If I could get the right kind of player. Yeah, I'm okay with moving Moses. I mean, I like both of them a lot, and I'd rather keep them, and I think they're good players. I'd rather build around them, but if they were the linchpin to some killer acquisition, I would not hesitate.
I hear you on that. And Miguel jokingly saying that Steve Kerr is going to play Buddy Hield 30 minutes tomorrow to prove his point. How much he sucked. The Buddy Hield minutes are cringe, dude. I do not understand this faith that Kerr still has in Buddy Hield. He is just not a good player, dude. In tonight's game, 22 minutes, 1 second. He was 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 beyond the arc. Look, if you're playing Underdog Fantasy like me, he's awesome because it's the easiest bet to make. Just bet lower than whatever his total is, and you'll likely win. 2 points, minus 12 in net rating. And I bring this up not just to criticize Buddy Hield because those minutes are absurd, but also to bring up the Warriors playing the Thunder tomorrow. Tonight was the first of a back-to-back. The Warriors, I think they rested Steph and Curry in a very wise manner, saving them for tomorrow night's game. The Warriors beat the Thunder the first time they played. They barely lost. I think it was 105, 101 the second time they played in a game where Stephen Curry and Draymond Green were out. Jonathan Kuminga and Podziemski were, and Moody and Trace Jackson Davis, those pieces were lighting it up against an OKC Thunder team that is modeled just like the Warriors. And again, this is why I'm not giving up on this season, Larry. It's not so much that I look at the Warriors and think, damn, that's like an awesome, great team that's a champ that just rings championship to me. It's a lot of it has to do with the landscape. A lot of it has to do with the rest of the Western Conference. And I see those other opponents, OKC included, they don't scare me. The only teams in the West that scare me are the Nuggets and the Lakers because of the size that they bring that the Warriors don't match. And it's why I want a trade for this Warriors team so that they can match the physicality of these bigger teams. With that said, OKC is on the docket tomorrow. Your reaction to that and everything else that I just said.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing OKC. I mean, Shea is just awesome. I think he's one of the best players in the league to watch. And I think, Sam Presti's the best GM. He's got a ton of assets. It's a good young team. I wish Chet was healthy, but we're not going to see Chet. Chet's got a huge future. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow night for sure. I am looking at Kevin O'Connor from Yahoo.
Yeah.
He's always suggesting trades. Did you see this one that he suggested on Draymond Green?
No, I don't look at those, man.
Kevin O'Connor says Draymond Green to the Mavs for Daniel Gafford, Max Kleber, 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks.
If you're going to trade Dre, you can get if we're going to entertain that discussion, that could be a whole show.
You love Gafford, though, don't you?
I love Gafford. I think you can do better than that, though. I think that's underselling.
That's
what
pretty
Draymond.
Good little. Two number ones, Gafford, Kleber can shoot, and 2 second-round picks. Four picks in Gafford, and you don't like that?
Well,
you want more?
I don't mind the picks, but I don't like Gafford as your star piece you're getting back. Like, I'd rather get someone who, first of all, I don't know if Steve Kerr matters in this, but he's certainly not a Steve Kerr guy. But I'd rather go, if you're going to get a big, I'd rather aim for like a Miles Turner type. Vucevic, if he was 10 years younger, if you're going to trade a really important asset for someone like him. But I don't know, man. Would you pull the trigger? Like, that's a trade.
Seems like a lot of assets. That seems like a lot of assets for Draymond.
So you love assets. You love those picks, huh?
Well, I mean, I just think if you're Golden State, I mean, here's my thing. I'm all about trying to win. Okay, so if you can win, then win, and if you can't win, then build. That's kind of how I see it.
That's fair.
That's how the Warriors, got to being a winner.
You're right.
They drafted all these guys. So
you're absolutely right, brother.
And yet I don't love the draft either. But I'm just thinking, instead of Vucevic and Butler, guys whose best ball is behind them, to me those kinds of moves may really help drive Golden State right off the cliff. So I don't know. I'm very nervous about Vucevic and Butler.
I would agree with you, Larry, if we're actually talking about assets that matter. Again, I saw what the Phoenix Suns did with their 2031 first, which is flip it for 3 first-round picks. Now, granted, those 3 that they got back from Utah are not as valuable because, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're swaps or there's some protections. I can't remember the details, but they don't carry the same weight as the original first that was traded. With that said, you can do that. The Warriors have that option, and we're talking about 7 years out. I guess I just don't have this connection to a draft pick 7 years from now. Like, I'd be willing to take a small swing because that's the one asset that would carry value to bring someone back, whether it's Butler, Zion, whoever we're talking about here. I'm not that's my thing is Steph's window has this much room in it. Maybe you think it's closed permanently, and I get that. I totally get it. I I don't think anyone's saying that's irrational. I think there's still a little window that you could capitalize on. And all I'm saying is do something, because assets like GP2, Looney, if Buddy Hield is movable, Dennis Schröder, I mean, $13 million. That's an expiring deal. Dennis Schröder might help you win games tonight against the Utah Jazz. He is not going to do jack shit tomorrow night against the OKC Thunder. I can promise you that. So all I'm saying is you have Stephen Curry on your team. Don't just do this. Don't do the status quo. And if it's not going to be Jimmy Butler, just do something, please. But 2031, man, that's so far out. I just don't have this attachment to a draft pick that far out. Like I know some people do. Miguel in the chat, Buck99 saying Stephen Curry, Buddy Hield, Wiggins, Gary Payton II, Kevon Looney. That's Steve Kerr's lineup tomorrow. What's your reaction, Larry, to Steve Kerr's this affection he has for certain players? Like regardless of how bad they play, he just keeps giving them minutes. And Buddy Hield is a prime example of that. Gary Payton II is a prime example of that. GP2 is shooting 20% from three. He might have one game here and there where he hits his threes. Like previous game, I think he was 2 of 3. But tonight he was 0 of 1, 0 of 2. Again, on the season, 20%. That doesn't pass. What is your take on this? Because I see it and it drives me insane.
I mean, everybody's going to have their favorites. It's just human nature. I mean, you're going to have your favorites. I mean, if you did the job, you'd have your favorites. And after a while, it just drives people crazy. But Steve definitely, like everybody else, I mean, everybody's got their preferences and he has his. And it's just, it's the guys, they've had nothing but success. So it's hard to really get super pissed off at him because they've won championships here. They've won, rings. So, but yeah, there's no question. He has his favorites like everybody else, and there's just reality.
I would respect the favorites thing if they were producing. Like if you had a producer, for example, for your program, and he was a favorite of yours, but he was calling in sick routinely. He was, forgetting to email important clients. Like you'd probably take action. You wouldn't just keep paying him week after week, right? I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me to have a favorite that is not delivering, not producing results. I'm a results-driven person, I guess. I don't know. Like Kai17, for example, in the chat says, well, the Phoenix Suns pulled off that trade because they found a trade partner. It doesn't mean the Warriors will find a similar trade partner. I call that an excuse. I hate excuses. Excuses are like a-holes. They're everywhere. There are plenty of them. It doesn't do a damn thing. There's nothing productive about them. I'm a results-driven individual. Like, great. Okay, Phoenix got the job done. I want to see the goddamn job done. Am I being unrealistic, Larry, saying that? Am I being an asshole saying that? Maybe I am being.
No, you're just a fan.
Unfair.
You're just
I don't know.
Fan. You're a fan. You're a fan. And fans get frustrated. But there's also realities that are sometimes some of these deals are difficult to come together. It's very much a players' league, so the players have a huge say. And so you're kind of at their whims, and it's difficult to make trades. I mean, how many trades have there been in the NBA this year? 3, 4? The Warriors have made, 1 or 2 of them? So, I mean, they've been pretty active compared to the rest of the league. But I hear you. It's frustrating, and you want to see them. I just want to, either see them, win with what they have, add to what they have so they can win this year, or if they don't really feel like they can win this year, and I'm there, I don't think they can win this year, I'd rather see them make a deal using a lot of these assets for a player who's still ascending, not a player that's descending. And that's, to me, it's not that difficult. There's guys that are going to be available that are 24, 25, 26. Go get those guys.
I don't agree with you, Larry, that it's fandom that's driving my rhetoric here. It's just basic logic. It's if something isn't working, do something about it. It doesn't matter if I care about the Warriors emotionally or not. Like Kai17 again brings up, says, I have my favorites. Moody, Kuminga, Vucevic, for example. GP2 was also a favorite of mine 3 years ago. He's not a favorite anymore because he's not producing. I want people, if you're getting paid to play professional sports, I expect results. You're making millions of dollars. You're getting insane privilege no one else gets to experience or enjoy because you are a special physical being who can actually deliver, in this case, on a basketball court. I expect results. That's my favorites. I favor people who can actually deliver. I respect greatness. When you're playing well, I respect it. When you're not playing well, you're getting paid millions of dollars to produce. You're not doing your job. You're not a favorite of mine anymore. I don't think it's that complicated. I don't see an emotional level to this. Like when I see the Warriors,
Really, you don't see an emotional level of this? You sound pretty emotional right now.
I'm emotional with everything. I guess I'm just an emotional person, Larry. But I don't think emotion is dictating like the context I'm providing here. Like the Warriors are about to miss the playoffs for the 4th time in 6 years. That's not producing positive results. Those are negative results. You could bring up Steve Kerr's 4 championships, but he's won 1 in the last going on 6 years. I've seen plenty of other coaches with that similar resume getting their asses shit canned. I've never seen another coach get away with 3 guard lineups and them not working out like this, yet facing no consequences, facing zero accountability for this. I don't think that's emotional. I don't. If we were writing this down on a piece of paper where there is no emotion heard, no passion exuded, I think you would read it as
it doesn't last forever, man.
I know, but you can make adjustments. You can evolve,
but it doesn't last. It doesn't last. You can evolve all you want. It doesn't last forever. You won 4 titles. Why
can't you win 5?
I know, because it's really, really hard.
It is.
You got your 4th was your bonus. Now, I mean, talk to the Warrior people. They know that they're done winning. And so that's why I'm in favor of, if Steph Curry's ever going to win another ring, it's not going to be in this kind of a scenario. It's going to be in the kind of scenario where they take a back step, move some assets for a younger player. That younger player gets really good, and then Steph wins a ring. That's how Steph's going to win a ring. He's not going to win a ring with just get him a running mate. No, those days are over, man. He's older now. Now he needs them to be smart, go get a young ascending player that for whatever reason is not in the right situation. Bring that player to your situation like you did with Baron Davis, like teams have done before, and that's what they need to do. They need to go get a young player. There's a few of them out there. And New Orleans is going to blow up their situation. I'm pretty sure of it. Hang around there. See if you can steal a couple of their people. That to me is a better idea than going for old Vucevic, old Jimmy Butler. Go find a couple young. If let's just say right now everything's in reality, but it wasn't that long ago that Zion Williamson looked awesome. Okay,
I'm
let's
with
say
that.
you could let's say you could go get Zion Williamson, and he's not going to be good the rest of this year. He's fat and out of shape. But let's just say he can get in shape in a year and be
he's
really,
doing good
really
now,
good.
by the way. Have you seen his numbers like now?
But I'm just saying he's his best. He's still he's still carrying all this bad weight.
He's
got a brand new agent. If you could trim him down and a year from now get him really at a lighter weight, and he has an awesome year, you potentially are a move away from maybe Steph getting into the ring with a guy like Zion leading the way. All I'm saying is Steph's not going to lead the way. They're going to have to find the next great young player. So this idea of just trying to cherry pick some old guy, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. You're not going to be Steph is the old guy. Draymond's the old guy. You can't just add another old guy. You have to go get a young ascending player and then really have him take off. And it's happened. It's happened in this league, and it can happen again. There are young players that will be traded, and they're all over the league. Do a good job of figuring out who's good. People call you all the time for Kuminga. Why? Because they figured out that Kuminga's a good young player who's getting better, and the Warriors are frustrated with him, and they may move off of him. And this was obviously before he got hot, and they're not moving off of him now. But they were going to maybe move off of him, and so people took tons of runs, and there were so many Kuminga rumors everywhere because everybody's dreaming the dream. Well, dream the dream, because you're right. If you're going to win, you're going to have to go. People are like, oh, yeah, get rid of Jimmy Butler and go get Kuminga. And yeah, of course you want to do that. Jimmy Butler's old, and he's broken down, and he's got a bad attitude, and Kuminga's young and cheap and healthy and fresh and going to be awesome. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Anybody would fucking say, oh, yeah, trade Jimmy Butler for Jonathan Kuminga, but the Warriors would have to be 10 times stupid to do that. And that's where they're at. So no more stupid moves for old guys, dreaming a dream that's dead. Go make your next move. Go find your young guy. Find somebody, because that's the only way. If you want to keep Steph and you're all nostalgic, fine. But go, unless you're going to ruin Steph's whole last part of his career, go find a young player who can help, that you might be able to, who might be able to lead you to a title. Otherwise, what are you doing? They're not getting it done with Vucevic. You're not getting out of the West with Vucevic. I like Vucevic. He's good, but it's going to take more than that. And they're not, I think they're not being realistic about where they're at. And then putting it off for the future is really, really stupid. And then it's going to put tons of pressure on some super small window. And I don't think it's going to work, but we'll see. We'll see.
All I will say in response is in 2021, people were saying the exact same thing. Even not just media folks, the Warriors themselves were saying that as well. They didn't think they had a window that year. They could have a window this year as well. And again, I will echo what Mike Dunleavy Jr., who was the only guy in the organization back then who actually had belief in the Warriors winning a title in 2021. And what he said is, look at the landscape. And I see the exact same thing this year. The landscape does not present this obstacle that is impossible to overcome. That's why, to me, if you make a deal where, again, you're not giving up anything that will hurt you long-term, trading Kevon Looney, trading GP2, trading Dennis Schröder, that does not hurt you long-term because all three of those players will be unrestricted free agents. They're not doing a damn thing for your team now. If you make a deal where, because this roster currently,
and if you make this deal, what percentage chance do you have of winning the title?
If you add Vucevic,
yeah,
50.
Oh, come on.
Easily, because
Five.
Vucevic
Try
is the
five.
one. Because Vucevic is the one difference
They have
between
a 50% chance of winning the NBA title.
I'm not counting out Steph. Even at 37, I'm not ready to rule one of the greatest players ever, a Michael Jordan-esque level of greatness. Not Jordan, but damn close. I'm not counting that out, man. I can't. He's too good for me.
Hey, man, everybody gets old, dude. The last game he was 0 for 8 in the second half.
They do. I agree. Again, he's getting. Do you want to see that stat again of the double and triple teams? Like,
what do you mean 0 for 8 in the second half?
Help. He has no help. Vucevic would help you with the Anthony Davises and the Nikola Jokic's of the world, which is the one piece the Warriors still have no answer for. That alone is why I would do that. And you lose nothing in the future. You're about to get Kuminga back. You already have Quentin Post emerging, Geese Santos, Moses Moody, Brandin Podziemski. There's a lot of youth already on this team. Youth I personally like, and that's not including like Kevin Knox, who you're likely going to promote if you make a trade so you have some cap space. Kevin Knox, by the way, some people are asking like, excuse me, I'm losing voice here. They're asking like, why is he not a two-way player? He's not eligible, unfortunately. So either you promote him and give him a guaranteed deal, which the Warriors can't do right now because of the cap. They're about $300,000 below the cap. Jeez, I'm losing my voice. It never happens. Anyways, I'm still optimistic. Larry, we've been going forever, man. I feel awful, dude. If you want to keep going, we can. But
I got to jump.
Okay. Real fast. Just there were 3 games in the NBA, or 3 or 4. We'll get to that really quickly, and then we're done. The scoreboard. Should we hear porn music, Larry? Porn music.
I got to jump, dude. I got to get up early.
Go. We'll forget the scoreboard. We're done. Anything you want to promote before we go?
No, dude. Good night. Good win for Golden State. Good win for Podziemski. Good night for Schroder. Golden State needs definitely to make a major move. I don't know if one's coming, but I think they need one.
Prediction for tomorrow.
Probably OKC on the second half of a back-to-back probably gets them. That'll be my guess.
Yeah, they're a damn good team. The spread, real fast before we go, I have to look that up because I'm curious. What would you guess is the line for Warriors Thunder at Chase Center tomorrow?
Maybe Thunder by 6.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm gonna get. What would I guess? My guess will be 4.5 because Steph is coming back. So the line for tomorrow's Warriors Thunder game. Oh, we were both off, but you win. Thunder are favored by 9.5.
9. I was going to say 8, but I was like, that seems like too much.
All right.
I wasn't sure how well they're going, really. I haven't been following the Thunder too much, but,
they're kicking ass. They're kicking ass, Larry. Well, people can follow you on all social media platforms, primarily Twitter at Sports Larry K. You can follow me on Threads. I'm correct, right?
Yep.
Okay. And people can follow me on Threads and Instagram at Dog Wild, over on Twitter at Surf Journalist. Larry, are you ever going to try Blue Sky, or is that is one social media account more than enough?
I'm good. I'm good where I'm at right now. I'll reevaluate as we go.
All right. Well, folks, the Warriors did win. That was the good news tonight. It was the Utah Jazz. Not much to brag about, but 114-103 the final. Hope you enjoyed the program, Larry. That was entertaining. We don't usually bring differing opinions like that. Hopefully made for good content. Killed my voice. That never happens. You can hear it dying. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, everyone. Love you, brother. And until the next time, bye-bye. Bye-bye.